we're at day 7 now. Finally reached Big B Burger, hoping to recuperate from all the mental damage accumulated over the past few days. Only to find out the doors are locked and nobody's inside. No. I need to be soothed. I need my routine. Gotta be kidding. Closed? The fuck do you mean closed? I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic. Everything's closed. Pandemic? What pandemic? Do you live under a fucking rock? It's a new SARS virus, straight from China. The whole world is going crazy over it. People are dying left and right. Holy shit. Didn't know something like this could still happen this day and age. Somehow, it always felt like we were beyond it. Well, that was a COVID-19 was a wake-up call. Well, I guess lucky I'm dead. Walk away to avoid bringing more attention to myself. Now I understand why NYC feels downright apocalyptic today. Yeah, it was the epicenter for... Queens is actually the epicenter for the COVID-19, so yeah, this was back in... Does this take place in 2020 or 2019? Because it was early second quarter 2020 was pretty nuts, frankly. Working a familiar smile. If someone had asked me right at this moment how to define the meaning of the word eerie, I would look them straight in the eye and say, just take a look around, idiot. With the exception of a few stray dogs, there's no one around to ask. This isn't the New York I've come to know. Can't help but perceive it as artificial, real, but with an uncanny apocalyptic quality. Like a citywide roleplay of some trashy post-apo flick. Like I was Will Smith in I Am Legend? Hell, it's probably the first time anyone's thought of I Am Legend in the last 10 years. The film version, I don't know. The book version was never very popular either, I don't think. I've never read this story. Uh-oh. Huh, Charlie, sheesh, it's been a long time. Charlie, why are you so stupid? Wow, that's not the line I choose to open a touching reunion with. The last time we met, he was working at Karma Circle, one of those vegan places that pride themselves in hiring workers with disabilities. Went there for the first time 2 years ago, or so, with Dakota. Charles here was our waiter. He heard us arguing about something stupid and rushed to Dakota's defense. And in Charlie's mind, the best defense is a merciless offense. He roasted my formal clothes, silly mannerisms, general behavior, and specific arguments so ruthlessly. Dakota had a 10-minute long laughing fit. The manager overheard him and apologized, but I didn't mind. I've always liked underdogs who can stand their ground. We even became online friends so we could roast each other on Messenger, and he could do that using emojis alone. People are getting sick. You're irresponsible. I need to take you home. I was worried. You never answer my messages these days. Yeah, that's not exactly, hey, you want to be pen pals? That's not exactly an option right now, especially during the day. If you have to contact me, you need to do it through Dakota. I've decided not to use smartphones anymore, you know, to keep my head clearer and all. I think you just got tired of breaking them. You're always so clumsy, your screen was always correct. You were always thinking a lot while your hands were doing something stupid. I said, ruthless. We are. Very good gal pals. That's good. You aren't practical. You're a mess girl. You need someone close to take care of you. Shh, come on, said the guy. Hey, people living with their parents is kind of becoming the norm again. I'm saying that's how I know. He says that with such an innocent smile and so much conviction, I feel thoroughly owned. No use fighting back, switching to sincerity mode. It's just that, don't tell her this, but I'm not sure if we keep making each other, if we're making each other happy. And that worries me, like, a lot, you know? I didn't say you're stupid, but that you're being stupid. There's a difference. When you're in your head for too long, you always trip over a glass of water or break your phone. That's when they call you stupid. When you argue or when you joke, that's good. That's progress. You're a philosopher now? read a lot, probably more than you do. Probably, yeah. I'm lazy as hell. I just pick the pages. I haven't had a lot of time for reading these days. Oh, are you still a journalist? Me? No, they fired me. Good. Seriously? Mom reads Lodestar sometimes. She says it's trash. I'm happy you're not trash. And how's Karma Circle? You still working there? No, they fired me. Oh. Was it a virus? Don't know. There's a new boss. Stupid guy, doesn't like me. Hope he didn't call him stupid to his face. He throws me an impish side glance and moves his eyebrows up and down, comedic time. But I did. Oh, how's her mom? Oh. She's sick and doesn't want me to come by her room. She sent me out to the pharmacy to get her medicine. Yeah. I'm lucky my own family didn't go through something like this. Okay. Time to meet with... Oh yeah, we haven't met D'Angelo yet. Let's see, the last position on my list, this better be good. Looks like a perfect for the clan of the hidden. I thought he wasn't hidden, I thought he was missing. And to be honest, I kinda expected the worst. Why we would look for him in the most obvious place? I've been asking around, I've got a hunch. Just trust it and start looking. Who is D'Angelo anyway? He's a good man. A useful man. But it took me time to get used to him. He takes sleuthing very, very seriously. His thing is acting like, an idiosyncratic noir detective. I heard it helps him cope with something, but I never felt comfortable tackling the subject. Doesn't sound too quirky by this city's standards. Wait, what is that? There's a rat on the floor, frozen in an unnatural position. Weird shit. Examine it? Now that's what being an investigator is all about. Leave no stone unturned. So gross. We found out. I take a close hard look at the rat. It's alive, but from what I see, he's just stretching out and like grinding his teeth without a care in the world. It's called bruxing. What? When a rat chatters its teeth, that's bruxing. He's not acting panicked or aggressive, so I guess he's just happy. I don't know. His eyes keep coming out of the socket and keep going back in. He looks disgusting, like he's in a lot of pain. So he's boggling. He must be really content. How does he know so much about... Never mind, I'm getting an eerie feeling. This is weird, man. I have a feeling there's a kindred hiding nearby weird. My thoughts exactly. Kadir slowly approaches a secluded corner of the room. And there it is. Kicks a pile of clothes lying on the floor. Just a corpse. Leave me alone. Lucky for you, we're all corpses here. D'Angelo, you're among friends. Clumsily, drunkenly, the pile of clothes transforms into an unkempt man who looks like he's suffering from some sort of skin disease. You know, a true friend would just bury me. But lucky for you, we're not that kind of friends. Lucky, unlucky, schmucky, my ass. How did you guess I was here? See, I've been asking around for the past few days. What I learned is, for reasons that can be best described as nebulous, you've made quite a few enemies this last year. Yeah, tell me something I don't know. One thing that caught my interest is how everyone has it on good authority that your place was raided a few times without you being found. Yet nobody has assumed responsibility for these acts. Hell, doesn't this den always look like it was just raided? Can't blame anyone for making an educated assumption. I had a hunch that these might be more than rumors. See, it sure looks like a convenient coincidence when everyone hears something that makes them look the other way, and coincidences are for fools. Well, you've got my number, and you can see my ugly mug right in front of you, so it's no use playing dumb, I suppose. Agreed. You seriously spent all these weeks holed up in here? Is the hunger not getting to you? You've got a lot of critters around these parts, and we've become chums. Some of these rats actually got addicted to the kiss. They come to me every night, acting like cokehounds, begging for it. What the hell? The kiss? Oh, the fancy romantic word for taking a nice deep drink of mortal blood. The recipients usually enjoy it almost as much as the bestowers, though not in the same way. For us, it's sustenance and taking care of a deeply rooted need. Most people I drink from end up dazed, but happy. Oh, okay, that's why the rat was acting like it. Been getting them drunk just to get some rush out of feeding on them. Feels a bit like slathering a horribly burned piece of pizza in ketchup. But in this situation, I'll take what I can get, you dig? It's so gross, I fail to keep my poker face. He notices. So who's the name? Julia Sawinski, detective investigating Baron Callahan's death. He raises his head for a short while to stare in Kadir's eyes and treat him with a vulgar snicker. Phooey. So, somebody has finally put the old man on ice. Whoever did it did the world a huge favor. Absolutely, but I got orders to establish who that was, and I've been stumbling in the dark for the past few days. We need your help. I'll be damned. Your sleuth skills must be really not up to par if you're begging a bum for help. It's an unusual case. How so? It's extremely political. Feels like the game was rigged against me from the start. Like I'm just bumbling around achieving nothing while everyone laughs behind my back. Jeez, you sound hopeless, kiddo. Haven't you ever read a Chandler book? That's how it always is. Just do your best, endure the embarrassment, and hope you stumble on the answer by accident. He accidentally lets a metal flask in his hand slip out and fall on the ground, then struggles to pick it up. Kadir can't bear to watch. God, what happened to you, Gianni? I've never seen you this low before. Stress-related disorders causing a disruption in my routine is what I think a shrink would say. Happens when a lot of shady folks are out to put a stake through your chest. Help us out. Tell us what you know, and we might be able to help you in return. Yeah, respect where it's due, miss, but I think it's going to be the other way around. I ain't telling you the two of you shit, pardon my French, until I know I can count on some protection. Don't you Gianni me, Kadir. I know your level, but I also know that your honor is one of the few things you care about. You want me to endanger myself? You put it on the line for me. And that's that. You either promise to extend your protection to me, or the moment you step away from here, I sneak away into the sewers, and that's the last you'll ever see. Kadir shoots me a weary, sideways glance. I know. He drives a hard bargain. Especially for someone whose sense of self-worth does not exactly appear to be sky-high at the moment. Maybe, but I do value my own life quite a lot. Thank you very much, friends. Alright, but 3 months from now, or the moment Prince Panhard tells me it's no longer possible for the court to offer you safety without compromising its principles, you're on your own. No negotiations. That's the only deal I can strike with you. Take it or leave it. D'Angelo scratches his head, grunts loudly, tucks on his mask, and stands up. That's Jake with me, big fella. I might have strong opinions about Panhard, but hell, I'm sitting on dynamite. I'll take what I can get. Who else in New York would you rather rely on? You want me to call the mayor? You think you can rely on de Blasio? That's pretty crazy. My opinions about the prince aren't that bad. So what you good folks want from me? What's he dead? Starting the interrogation with a tricky one. Wouldn't I like to know? Step up, Gianni. You seem to be forgetting how quid pro quo works. Wouldn't I like to know won't cut it. What can I tell you? That warlock, Dion, or whatever his name is presumed dead. Tamika, MIA, with SI on her back, so possibly KIA by now. Hope the kook, hidden in her office under Vanderweiden's skirt. Around the time they started having trouble, some rough-looking streetwise kindred started hanging out in my usual spots. Didn't take me long to connect the dots. Wait, what is the connection between you and those three? Ever since last year, folks started hiring us for various gigs, some even trying to get us to join their coteries. All of these opportunities were rather short-lived. However, the delicate tightrope act of working for various employers made us fully aware. There's an intra-sect alliance in NYC. Kindreds from both sides often work for the same goals without knowing it. The moment we started figuring it all out, a cleanup crew went downtown. I know the serious warlock boy sniffed something out in his own backyard, but then poof, he disappeared. Then I lost all contact with Hope and Tamika and went AWOL. Hope they're doing fine, and they didn't snitch on me to anybody. They are. And they didn't even tell me you guys know each other, so I think you're safe. Wait a second. Where were you milking them for intel, kiddo? I found a list of 4 names on Callahan's remains. You can probably guess what they were. I get the picture, yeah. Christ almighty. I've heard it was just a list of freelancers. Potential associates, probably prepared by Carter Vanderwine. Huh. My money is on him being involved, but I smell bullshit. Have you got any idea who might have done the boss in? Any more clues? None at all. That's where we want you to come in, friend. Investigate the murder scene. Yeah, the way only you know how. Tell us what you think. Guide Julie in the proper direction. D'Angelo sizes me up, scratching his head. Sure, whatever. I'll try my best, kiddo. Lead the way. Oh, we have a teammate? I'll drive you there, or at least as close as possible. I wouldn't be welcome that deep in Anarch territory. Just clean yourself up a bit, Gianni. I just had my upholstery cleaned earlier this week. Okay. Here we are. Swell. A classic closed room mystery. Let me take a look. He starts walking around the office, carefully taking in every element. So you're saying you're basically nobody, but you can simply call Catherine Weiss and have her open Sesame and Anarch Crib for you? Don't know. Sure sounds like somebody to me. Don't misunderstand. I only met her during the course of the investigation. Everyone's basically been treating me like dirt wherever I go, and I'm only acknowledged enough to legitimize this sham. Lord Castlereagh. Now that was an abrupt interruption. I was busy sharing, David. Excuse me. He's pointing at the painting of the man overseeing this entire office. I met Murder on the way. He had a mask like Castlereagh. Very smooth he looked, yet grim. 7 bloodhounds followed him. He seems to have completely switched his modus operandi upon seeing the murder scene. He's in his own little world, and his behavior has become more machine-like, erratic. I, still don't follow. I never knew the old Irish coot was into the Napoleonic era. But then again, I have no idea about his exact age, of course. So maybe that's when he lived, or was born. Anywho. Pay minimal attention to me, alright? Who am I looking at here? Right. That's one Lord Castlereagh, known as Robert Stewart, a British Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs at the beginning of the 18th century. Incredibly influential, incredibly hated. Ask one fellow about Castlereagh and he'll tell you. He was the man who destroyed Napoleon for good. The man who shaped British politics for ages. The man who built foundations for European unity in Vienna. Ask another fellow and he'll tell you. He was the man who destroyed the Irish Parliament. The man who cracked down on any possibility of reform. Then supported the cavalry massacring peaceful protesters. He's spouting these facts like a computer. Is that the hint of a detective's photographic memory? I have to say, it's downright perverted for an Irishman to put up Castlereagh's portrait in his office. Definite proof that our victim was sick in the head. As if we needed more evidence there. Probably idolized him too. Maybe identified with him even. Yeah, that's possible. Callahan and his ilk adore these jagoffs who strive to reach across the aisle and achieve hard compromises. Too bad nobody else ever remembers them well. How did he die? Committed suicide in the 1820s. His family took every sharp item away from him, but he was, well, dedicated. Why did he do it? Pressures mounted from all sides, deserved hate coming from all sides. Plain old overwork. Also might have gone nuts. Kept saying he saw ghosts. Otherworldly silhouettes were guiding him, yada yada. An unpleasant feeling grows in my stomach. Also, there's a rumor someone was threatening to expose him as a homosexual. Having to choose between being publicly denounced and ending it all by his own hand. He chose the latter. Well, that's just depressing. Maybe. But the silver lining is, it couldn't have happened to a nicer fella. He stops above Callahan's corpse and laughs. Posterity will never survey a nobler grave than this. Here lies the bones of Castlereagh. Stop, traveler, and piss. And he kicks his bones with glee, causing me to jump a little. Is he still under the influence? Isn't that tampering with the crime scene? Kiddo, as far as I can see, this crime scene has been fucked with 3 times over. Can't really be ruined more than it already has. I agree, but it looked about the same the last time I was here. Then, it was already a total mess before you ever got here. Whatever. Standing by the metal shutters on the windows, he abruptly changes the topic. Lightproof. Have you ever toyed with these? No. In general, I avoid machinery like that. It doesn't like me, and I don't like it. They don't like you? They don't work properly. It's like I give technology an allergy. Sometimes industrial cameras mess up my face. Sometimes I can't use a phone. You'd think it could be useful, but it's just a curse. Well, especially in this modern age. If you couldn't use like cameras or whatever back in the, I don't know, even early 1900s, it's not a huge deal, right? You know, if it was the 1700s, you'd probably barely notice. Except, they don't cast reflections? Yeah. I mean, that could help you stand out, but otherwise, it's not a big deal. Think these blinds could have been the murder weapon? Yeah, I did wonder about that. I did entertain the possibility. Would make sense, wouldn't it? Let's say for some reason our stiff was standing there as the sun was rising. Maybe staring at poor old Castlereagh, looking for a soulmate to accompany him to the other side. Yet another guy pushed to suicide by politics. Pretty old school, romantic, yada yada. Or maybe it was torpor. Or maybe it was a freak accident. Or maybe it was premeditated. In any case, sunlight would be a perfect murder weapon, no? He takes off the mask to shoot a disfigured smile my way. Well, that's just a theory anyway. Sound. Well, I mean, there was no signs of a struggle or anything. As far as I can tell. It's practically impossible to make certain now, kiddo. The most logical cause of final death would be damage to the heart. And that can... oh, okay, never mind. I guess that's true. Can easily be done without damage to the skeleton. He sets off with a wink. What is he playing at here? The safe. Anyone made a crack at it yet? As far as I know, only Callahan knew the code, and the safe itself is pretty hard to crack. Watch me, kiddo. Presses an ear to the safe. It's a freaking normal safe? There's no high tech or anything? Stop clowning around. You're a safe cracker now? When you curse with countenance such as mine, you decide on a job such as mine, you gotta be a jack of all trades. Sounds pretty hard. Last year, there was a random feller visiting a heritage museum in Alberta. He found a safe that hasn't been opened in 40 years. Not a single specialist or even a blacksmith could have handled it. The man just studied the numbering, listened closely to the mechanism, attempted the most sensible combinations, and voila, the unthinkable happened. That's where just trusting your instincts lead you. Too bad he found nothing inside but an old pay sheet. Oh, a metallic screech, the door is open. I'll be damned. It looks like we got the same case here. Confetti. A few random papers scattered around. But for what it's worth, the lock has obvious traces of mechanical manipulation. Probably recent too. Reeks of foul play. But what do we know for sure, really? I'm done here. You can take over. Another wink, another walk in a random direction. I look inside the safe. Quite spacious. I haphazardly grab everything that's left inside the safe and hide it on my person. Then close the door so nobody knows me well. He managed to crack it. When I turn around, he's motioning me to come closer to a sheet of paper lying on the desk. So yeah, kiddo, you probably know the entire beeswax about Schrodinger's cat, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But honestly, anything could have happened here. I read the text he's written on the empty page. This place is wired. Gives me chills. I think I'm okay. I've tried to record my voice a bunch of times on different hardware, just to see if I can. It mostly comes out as noise. He nods, then starts scribbling something else as he continues blabbering on and on. The best strategy would be to make an educated guess about what happened here, then interrogate everyone about it. Maybe you'll take someone by surprise, drop a hook on them. The wiretap is a chip in the broken glass bottle on the floor. Absolutely sure it belonged to Kaiser. Kaiser, the elusive information broker, the talk of the city. Finally got an excuse to nab him. I understand. I think I have an idea how to use it to find him. Should I notify Kadir? Scribble. Takes longer than before. So yeah, I'll be meeting up with Kadir. You stay here, sister. Maybe there's something you've been missing. Your call, doll. You're going beyond his jurisdiction, so he will try to stop you. Whatever you do, just give me a 10 minutes heads up. You know, so I can get to relative safety. For sure. It's back into the sheriff's custody for me. See you around, Julia. Sorry, this old codger couldn't have been more help. Like I was playing. See you around, D'Angelo. Got a plan. Now all I need to execute is a clueless bystander. This guy will do. Not really. Better take a hike before the guy you just called shows up. I can't guarantee he won't make you hurt. I might have messed with his head a little too much using my wily kindred charms, but I needed him to tell Kaiser where I want to meet. Quite clearly. Multiple times. I would have given him the kiss as thanks at least, but I've told the big man I won't be here all night, and he better hurry up, so I want to be ready whenever he comes. Less than 15 minutes later, a menacing black limo takes a fast, sharp turn onto my street. Okay, that's a typo. It should be a fast, sharp turn. It stops right in front of me. Suddenly, something like an acid flashback hits me. I know this limo. I've seen it all over the past few days, but never thought it might have been tailing me. Still, I must have. Looks like I'm finally about to get some answers. Doors open and a raspy voice comes from inside. Get the fuck in, Sawinski. Smile, accepting the invitation. There he is, Kaiser, the king of New York City's information highways, surrounded by screens, speakers, and newfangled technological gizmos of all kinds. First impression, he's one repulsive son of a bitch. D'Angelo was also a sewer rat, and he might have had similar physical disadvantages, but at least he was wholly endearing. With this guy, there's no room for any kind of sentiment. He's inhumanly cold, and I get the feeling he's been like this for ages. Oh, damn. You're getting on my nerves, little lady, and I'm far from being the only one. I get the sense he's meant for all this to be threatening. Instead, I'm elated. After a week of running around like a headless chicken, unsure if I was getting anywhere, finally I get a compliment. There's one thing I learned back in Lodestar. It was that you only know you're doing your job correctly when someone powerful gets visibly mad. I have no idea what you mean. No need to play dumb, especially considering you're a natural. The art hole, double spiral, the SI, torque stent. How does it feel to have made enemies absolutely everywhere? Scoffs at me with pure contempt. Listen, I'll speak as plainly as humanly possible to get this through your little head, since it's obvious you're not willing to read the obvious signals. You were hired for one thing, and one thing only, lady. To suck at your job, and you couldn't even do that correctly. People keep stopping by my limo this week telling me, Kaiser, dear Kaiser, we keep trying to make her understand how hopeless she is, but she just won't get a clue. She doesn't have any evidence, she doesn't have any testimony, but she still goes around knocking on everyone's door. Usually I try to be a jovial host, so I cheer them up. She's not that much of a dunce, I say. She's making mountains out of molehills to make herself seem useful, I say. She's about to stop. But you, in your infinite idiocy, decided to prove me wrong in the most spectacular fashion, by knocking on my very own door, forcing my hand, threatening me even. Are you autistic or something, huh? Can't read some basic fucking social clues? Stop for 1 second and ask yourself, Cui bono? Who even wants you to solve anything, let alone this case? See, the city has a delicate system set in place. Usually it's flawless, but ever since you started tinkering with it, it's been having these irritating malfunctions, and it's been driving people. Are you done? A weird, disgusting sound, something between a gargle and a bark, escapes his throat. Unbelievable. All I'm hearing is that you're in possession of some information that might help me solve the puzzle I was presented with. If that's the case, I'm going to ask you to share it. Holy shit. So you're absolutely irredeemable, you fucking garbage dump of a woman. How do I get through all the rubbish in your head to drive my point in? Oh, wait, it's the favorite line of some asshole. Don't you know who I am? You're one person who went to Callahan's place word, which makes you a possible witness of sorts, or even a suspect. Even if your accusations are correct, then who, pray tell, would you report them to? Do you even know what kind of people I answer to? They don't care to acquaint us? Is that really what you want? You want to know who pulls the strings? Give me 10 minutes and I can arrange a meeting. But this is your last chance to turn back. If you don't, I can tell you now, you're gonna be sorry. The big kahuna, finally, we're talking. Well, here we go. I'm just saying, this is the point of no return. My boss doesn't fuck around. Best case, you're gonna beg him to take you in. Oh. I first spot her in the corner of my eye. She's hovering right next to Kaiser, with an expression that's impossible to discern. When she speaks, her voice is machine-like, yet otherworldly. Fine. We're 5 minutes away or so. Get the boys to give her the Mel Gibson special. The moment he puts away his phone, the silhouette disappears. We're 5 minutes away. Better start figuring out the ways you might prove yourself useful to the honcho. There is no honcho. Oh my god, of course this motherfucker is setting me up. Grab the door handle and pull. He notices me scrambling, struggles to grab me. I think he grabbed me. I think he tried to pull me back in. I think we fell in the limo. I think his body cushioned my fall. But I'm struggling to process what's going on. So he is the boss. And he's just pretending to answer to somebody else? Or does he actually work for someone and just, you know, okay. When I get up, he's already attempting to get up, cursing under his breath. The limo has stopped a little further, but whoever the driver is, he's not coming out. When he stands up, he will be out for vengeance. He's an older vampire who knows how strong he is. I need something that will give me the advantage. The pepper. What? Does pepper spray work on vampires? This probably won't be as well. I don't know. Is there secretly garlic in there and it works? I don't know. I limped towards the asshole, disarmed the device aim towards his eyes, and unload the entire canister. It worked. It actually worked. I keep up the offensive. I punch him, kick him, throw him around, I pummel him. Ooh, damn. Going in there. The driver steps out of the limo to help his boss, but once he sees what I'm doing to him, he runs away in panic. Oh, barely hanging on. He's one of the most influential people in the city, but that's probably why he never expected to get his ass whooped, especially by someone like me. When he speaks again, his voice is pathetic, surprisingly close to a whimper. He's unwell, talking nonsense. Uh-oh. Oh, he's not talking. Ooh. Are we going in? I mean, I'm playing a good guy, but he's kind of an asshole. I don't know. Well, we already pissed him off, right? What's the trade update? The end's justified to me. Duh. Oh. He's actually weeping like a child. Totally shatters a tough image he was trying to project her. Like, this is the first time anyone has ever used physical violence against him. What if it is? Oh, yeah, well, the whole I'm not talking thing, Wanna know who was in Callahan's office before he died? Everyone. Fucking everyone and their mother was there. Vanderwyden, Isling, Arturo, and Panhard, that Khmer douche, motherfucker Torque with his sidekick, all of them. Callahan thought the only way out was to pit them all against each other, or to ally with every single one of them. Little did he know, it was all in their best interest for him to just fucking die. That's good, that's great, but who killed him? I have no fucking idea. That won't do. I really have no idea. Who kept complaining to you about me? Who's responsible for getting rid of the evidence? Everyone. Goddamn Callahan had dirt on everyone and antagonized everyone. So it took everyone to fucking bring him down. All evidence is gone. Every theory is equally true. So none of it is. Everyone's complicit, so nobody is. Oh, it's a freaking murder on the Orient Express solution. Everybody was in on it. Why the fuck do you think Sophie Langley is no longer around? Why is Torque no longer pretending to be a revolutionary? Why are free agents involved? Why are they shutting you up so much? Oh, damn. Oh. Out of control. I'm hunched that the moment you get a whiff of true power, all brakes will be off. I have no idea. Sheriff, no idea. She's dangerous, psychotic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. He's in there. Nope. Nope. Uh-oh. Oh, she's cosplaying as you. This is there's a movie about this. Pretty sure. I thought I was being neurotic whenever I noticed something dreadfully familiar in you. Please do explain. Are you a single white female-ing me? Oh, yeah, that's the movie, right? Hold on, I'm gonna Google this. The synopsis. Single. Okay. Let's see it's an 1992 American erotic thriller based on John Lutz's 1990 novel. So she moves in with someone and let's see. TV tropes. After breaking up with her boyfriend, Allie, Bridget Fonda, gets a new roommate, Hetty, Jennifer Jason Leigh. They become the best of friends, then things start getting weird. Like when Hetty gets the same haircut as Allie. Oh, okay, so this is like, I don't know. It all makes sense now. Oh, come on. I thought I was the leech in this relationship. We watched that movie together. We made fun of Jennifer Jason Leigh together. Our roommate stalking and imitating her own roommate. Ha ha ha. What a concept, right? But I was being fed on in a far more sinister way without knowing it. Don't be silly. Silly? I've never, ever been this serious with you. So whenever she put on my makeup, whenever I use her as a mirror, was she always hyping me up because she wanted to live vicariously through me? Ooh. So many little things make sense in retrospect. The little ways you kept modulating your speech after me, the weird way our tastes were always compatible, some of your art feeling so familiar. None of it would trigger any alarms by itself, and yet... Ooh, there we go. I could barely think of anything more repulsive than being put on a pedestal like this. It's like the other person is begging me to perceive them as someone worse, if not outright subhuman. Damn. Whoa. Okay. Oh no, I'm a member of an immortal elite secret society. It's so hard to cope, Dakota. Oh boy, they had a big huh. Oh boy. Yeah, this is pretty messed up. Context is everything. One way or another, you need to process what you're looking at. Maybe that context will be something you've heard or overheard. Maybe, although it's quite rare and pretty special. It'll be your own creative, captivating, complete interpretation. A ghost of an idea. Maybe this really is the last thing Callahan ever saw in his own life. Giant warm sunbeams caressing his skin and turning it to ash. A giant ball of fire engulfing his body in flame from 93 million miles away. Was he terrified? Was he grateful? There's no will, no suicide note, no nothing. Instead, we can only count on what the local historians will write, presumably letting their biases shape the narrative one way or another. What am I looking at here? Horrible, laughable hall of mirrors? A creep whom I never ever want to see again? A vampire much more despicable than myself? Wow, we're talking about Interstellar here? Matthew McConaughey returning to his estranged daughter from the other side of the cosmos, from beyond the event horizon, guided by nothing but love. Then, whenever I got back to planet Earth for a week or two, I was haunted by a memory of that affection. I was the best possible version of myself toward her. Okay, but that haunting will always refuse to transfigure into something real. What gradually took its place were angry, disappointed thoughts, and among them, one thought I was always trying to suppress. Damn, I need someone who knows how to raise me up spiritually. But all I have is a sycophant who's always working her ass off to lift me up without understanding what I need. It's hurting us both. Having these words pop up in my head hurt me, because they always had a ring of truth to them. But also because I knew there must be another narrative. A better narrative. I was just too stupid to find it. I had my the best city in the world phase, I had just a playground for wealthy fucktards phase, and now I'm in search for a better description. One day, probably, I'll stumble upon, like a piece of writing or a prestigious TV show scene, that will contain just that. And suddenly I will look at this place with new eyes. Not sure my relationship with New York is that complicated. Or maybe I won't. It's like the frustrations I had back at Lodestar. All these words constantly trailing behind reality, trapping you in useless mindsets instead of bringing enlightenment. Fuck all these flashy writers whose main concern is furthering their own brand. Douchebags who present you with limited, pathetic, depressing realities where they are kings. Fuck them all out. We need words that will paint a brighter future before our eyes. But what if that can't be done without reinterpreting the past first? What if we haven't even defined the ills and threats correctly? Once again, my thoughts return to the same visual that have been tormenting me for almost every waking moment of this past week. A senseless demise devoid of any context. A crime scene stripped of evidence. An image created by an unknown artist, designed to leave you dumbfounded. The investigation is over. All the possible avenues explored. All the non-testimonies are in. No concrete evidence found. The play is almost complete. The actor is ready to leave the stage. It is what it is. I failed as a detective. Maybe through no fault of my own, but again, it is what it is. This case, this picture, this scene, never needed an investigator. From what I understand, all the people in charge ever wanted was a talented writer. What if? Ghost of an idea. When I wake up, Dakota's still not here. I don't know how to feel about that, so I just don't. Kadir hasn't left any messages by the door. Still that mad, huh? You'll probably appeal to the court to take me off the case. And if half of the garbage Kaiser was spouting is correct, he shouldn't have much trouble convincing everyone. I think of God. Maybe that's why I half-consciously picked the cathedral as my destination. I think of the silver cross adorning my chest. Okay, so silver doesn't hurt them. An empty signifier. Whenever someone asks me why I wear it, they hear a different story. I think of the silhouettes that I keep spouting from corner of my eye. No. I don't even want to imagine what that means. I feel what it means, and it makes me nauseous enough. I think of my clan, so closely tied to the Catholic Church. It's a loveless marriage, so to speak. Like, for example, the one between my parents. I think about the great irony of La Sombra's truce with the Holy See. We are the only ones who stay so close to the Lord's light, even though we're certain we'll never, ever reach it. Some of us shadows have visions. Visions of comrades who departed this world recently. Traveling through some abstract space. One that's disturbing and astonishing in equal measure. They almost reach whatever afterlife there is for our kind, but then get caught and consumed by a monstrous, dark silhouette. The rumor is our antediluvian wasn't stopped by his final death. He's still out there, behind the shadows, taking revenge for our patricide, feeding on us like Saturn devouring his children. Antediluvians, the forebearers of every kindred belonging to the 13 vampire clans. Okay, they're the original vampires. These vicious bastards of the third generation created the world as we know it. And some features of our blood are said to have originated with them. Thanks for cutting me out of the internet, you Mesopotamian dickweed. Is what I say if I didn't have a premonition we might see each other again someday, somehow. As Dakota would say, it might not be factual, but it is an emotional truth. From joining the Camarilla to panically scrambling for any safe house, it's like our elders are solely motivated by fear. The sins of our fathers are catching up with them, and it's young kindred like me who are given responsibility to clean up their mess, with the constant sense of doom looming over the horizon. We don't talk about salvation anymore. We're just minimizing the impact of damnation. That's no way to live. But then again, maybe that's why they call it unlife. Shit, it's been a while. Hello there, lost sheep. I'll have you know, this shepherd was extraordinarily patient in waiting for you. What are you doing out here while the night is so young? Out for blood? Well, you're in luck. This place offers both the body and blood. If missionaries learned their methods from pickup artists, they would all be like this guy. Man, it's gonna be bad. Oh my, something troubling you? If so, I can arrange a confession. Or if you're in a hurry, keep in mind, the path from inner turmoil begins with a friendly ear. I've got one right here. Julie, as you know by now, I always interpret this silent response to preaching the divine as the devil stirring inside. Is that what it is, Julian? The liar and the father of lies got a hold of your soul? Something swells up inside my chest. I recognize the feeling. The handbrake just broke, and I'm definitely not on level ground. Oh, damn. Tell your fucking singularity, stupidity, tastelessness, and cringe. I've met all sorts of horrible shitheads and asshats this week, and somehow none of them got under my skin the way you do. When did I ever say that God exists? What? I said, what makes you think I believe God exists? Oh, now you're just fucking with me. No, I'm serious. He sounds serious, at least. I'm actually speechless. I think there's been some sort of silly misunderstanding that desperately needs to be cleared up. I'm all ears. I sure hope so, Julian. I feel like you must have ignored half of what I've been saying for you to reach these conclusions. That's very well possible, actually. Usually it takes 15 seconds of him talking to get me completely zoned out. So to avoid any further mix-ups, I will go back to the beginning, explain the core of my religious beliefs, okay? So, I love the Catholic imagery. I cherish the tradition and lore. I adore the practices, the intricacies of the theology, the messages contained in the Bible. Of course I do. Does that mean I believe that one day I will see the big dad in the sky? Forgive me, Lord, but I don't think so. Doesn't sound very likely, especially for a bloodthirsty creature of the night. So that's what this is all about? Fun imagery? That's overly simplified, but yes, I suppose you could say that. Motherfucker, you ain't Catholic. You're just a weirdo cosplayer. Says a non-practitioner who still wears a cross. Yeah, but I don't shove it down people's throats for fun in my spare time. I'm simply trying to share the joys religion has brought to my life with others. What joys? Oh, where to start, when there are so many. The joy of having plainly understandable rules to follow. The joy of having a structure to your life. The joy of always knowing where to find people who share your values. I'm not even sure that's true. Religions have a lot of splinter factions, and in fact, the intra-Muslim fights happening in the Middle East are a lot more intense than they have with people outside their religion. In my opinion, anyway. I don't live there. I don't have first-hand accounts. But that's what it seems to an outside observer, anyway. Above all, it's the joys of being an aristocracy, surrounding oneself with exquisite, luxurious architecture, beautiful classical music, ornate rituals formalizing our actions and relationships, a pursuit of virtue separating you from the masses, the hierarchies, the communities, all serving an idea greater than themselves. It's like monarchy, or some Camarilla traditions, but not as gauche. So that's what it was? You saw pretty paintings and buildings and thought, hell yeah, I want in? And then you just decided what they mean to you? Oh, don't get me wrong. It's real faith that brought me to the fold. But eventually I whittled down this religion to its core, to what interests me. Unbelievable. But don't think for a second I wasn't empathetic when I was trying to convert you. You are the embodiment of existential despair surrounding us. The one that people usually try to drown out with drugs, sex, work, Netflix, pick your poison. All of them, temporary copes. Empty yourself. Kill your ego. Get a routine. Join a community. Ground your morality in something tangible. Start perceiving yourself as part of something greater. All of it good advice by itself, but codified in an appealing, otherworldly aesthetic. One that keeps the beast at bay. One you're almost fitting into the way you are. What's there to hate? The beast, the bottomless pit of savagery and hunger, always under the surface, begging me to lose control. All vampires have it, some worse than others, and it comes in many flavors. I don't know what would happen if I gave in to this urge, but somehow, I doubt I'd like it. Unbelievable. You're a goddamn lunatic. He looks to the sky. Stop that. Your entire ideology is just aesthetics, you fucking loon. And how exactly do I differ from anyone else nowadays in this regard? No, you stop. Just look at yourself. A privileged burnout who refuses to invest herself in anything. Only started committing to anything when, for once in your own life, you were forced into a politically charged, dangerous task. Once it's over, you'll go back to being an aimless brat. Desire to murder increases. Ever since World War II, I've been watching every person and every ideal I cared about wither and disappear. That's the source of my pain. That's the reason I am what I am. The source of your pain, a thing that defines you? People have been mean to you. Fuck off. People in third world countries keep their head high while suffering from every sort of horror. But you have a complete mental breakdown every time you remember you have mommy issues. Oh, don't act like you have the high ground here, you oblivious sadist. All I'm saying is everyone has a different framework, a different lens to view their suffering through. Yes, and if there's one thing abandoning your humanity should have shown you, is that kind framework are not enough. Petty vendettas, childish romances, pointless power struggles, the dumb gamble that That's chasing a successful career. Mommy and daddy issues? Sure, why not? Pain and pleasure dictates everything. Everyone wants something bigger than this. They want to escape from this drudgery. They want psychedelica, but permanent. They want to stare at God's face even if he does not exist. Well, I wouldn't know. In this universe, you know at least Cain exists, right? And somebody had to give him the mark of Cain. Who knows? Also, the afterlife is shown to exist at some point, so God is not as huge a leap in this universe as it is in ours. Show him how. Accept the cross you're wearing into your heart, Julie. That will be enough of it. Oh. Two are arguing so loudly I had to come out and check it out. Even with all the panic on TV these days, simply walking outside feels like marching into a war zone. Right now, Benoit Segal is displaying all the confidence of a scolded teacher's fear. I know, Benoit, I know. That's the problem. The sacristy is open. Please head there right now. We need to have a long talk. Get me some coffee if you wish. Oh. He slowly sinks away, looking defeated, deflated, debased. I burn the moment to my retinas, etch it onto my soul. Kinda hoping I'll never have to see him again, and this is how I'll remember him. I feel sorry for him. I keep hoping he might find some basic empathy through faith, but all I've done thus far is let him leave you at the end of your tether. I don't exactly support it, but I don't reject it. It's like attrition and contrition, imperfect and perfect repentance, you know. One is focused on a relationship with God, the other selfish and focused on personal gain. But both of them work. Yes, but doesn't this strike you as completely missing the point? A bit, but purely secular takes on Christ's teaching are nothing new. Pascal's wager is a boring example, but have you by chance read Bulgakov's The Master and Margarita? Yeah, I mean, Christ had good ideas. I agree with his teachings, mostly. It's just the divine part I'm not really on board with. Sure, back in Poland, every teen online trying to look intellectual. Love to repeat that joke about the talking cat who swears he never poured vodka for a lady, because women deserve pure alcohol. That's one takeaway from that novel, I suppose. I read it as a moving depiction of Christ who was not a divine being, stripped of mythic qualities, but open for transcendence. Jesus and Satan understood as powerful forces battling within us. I'd have to read it again, it's been too long. Sounds nice though. I stretch lazily and take out another smoke. Leonard watches me closely before speaking up again. Julie. 4 hours from now, there's going to be a meeting in Elysium, the big finale of Celebrations of Power. Everyone will be there, but they were counting on you to not show up. The good sheriff plans to present the results of the investigation in your stead. It's a simple, crude strategy. Might work, but begs to be countered with an outrageous tactic. Take it as you will. The game is about to end. Momentarily, that works in game and meta. Yeah, the game's about to end. All I can muster is an eloquence. Don't ask me, I'm just a messenger. Who relayed this message to you then? A good friend. A cautious friend. Wouldn't be able to tell you more than that even if you forced me to. It's the moment that might decide the rest of my days. What would you do in my place, Father? When I was faced with a dilemma that would shape the rest of my life, the world felt too big and scary and impossible to understand. So I simply escaped from that choice into the seminary. Yeah, if that's your idea of good advice, I'm gonna have to ask you to show me. Don't you regret it? Regret what? You're kinda shady, but don't seem like a bad guy. Still, you have to accept people above you are responsible for some horrible things. If our superiors' acts counted as our own sins, then on the face of it, probably half the people in this world are irredeemable. Clever, but not a real answer. And being a low-level grunt for assholes you find wholly objectionable is no way to live. I don't know. Is it? Finish the smoke in silence. I have to go. Don't know if and when we'll see each other again. But when that happens, I probably won't be the same old me. Of course, but before I leave the scold Benoit, let me say one more thing. These are difficult times. My parishioners keep calling me. The things people are going through, they might never admit, but if this keeps up, it will cause horrifying invisible damage to this nation. Oh boy, Father, we are way past that. The dreadful darkness is killing us all, little by little. And like every powerful evil, it manifests itself little by little. And yet, sinful as it may be, I confess to being strangely excited. For a moment, we're seeing the suffocating normal disappear. This is the time to dream a new world is possible. Oh. Yeah, this is definitely a game that's seen what has happened the last year and the last few years, actually. And, speaking about our current times, walk through these empty streets, Julia. Remember how the city feels right now. Bask in its shadows and uncertainties. After the apocalypse comes the great rebirth. The Amici Noctis awaits your next report with great curiosity. I give him a nod and I sprint away. Now I know what I must do. Wait, hold on, do you not get to choose? Okay. Courtesy girl, I should put you on trial. I can't guarantee I eventually won't. You mess with Kaiser, the eminence grease of the city. Beat him to a pulp like a random goon. He will do everything he can to destroy you from now on, and my bet is he'll succeed. Whatever will be, will be. For now, at the very least, I like to show the court I'm not a baby fledgling who can't see a task she was given to the end. You're making a huge mistake. How did you even learn this meeting was happening in the first place? Maybe I'm not as trashy as an investigator as you thought I was. You should. This is not a fair assessment. I wanted to finish this whole mess myself, for your own good. Fine, but you will stay quiet the whole time. No tricks, ifs or buts. Okay. The art hole is nearly empty now, and Kadir is gently strong-arming the last remaining nobodies into leaving the premises. Eventually, only me and a select few New York Camarilla VIPs remain. Ah, Miss Sawinski. Barely made it, huh? The asshole with the glued-on smile spots me first, and he's just as authentically infused to see me as ever. So he finally showed his face around here. I wasn't sure if you'd join us tonight. Kadir made this meeting sound like a one-man show. The preparations took me a bit longer than I thought they would. I apologize. If I was planning something, it wouldn't be a surprise if I told you now, would it? Oh, here we go. Is everyone present? Accounted for. My prince? Yes, before we begin, let me welcome an unusual guest to our fold. She gestures toward a corner from behind which emerges a silhouette that never ever appeared here under normal circumstances. Name's Torque. I'm the Baron of the Bronx. I was delegated here by my compatriots as an oversight authority. I'm here to observe the results of the investigation. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me stress this one last time. This is a one-time occurrence, meant to alleviate the tensions in the city. Not a symbol of mutual recognition, not in the slightest. I peek at Edison's face to get a feel for how a hardline loyalist might grapple with this arrangement. His expression betrays no surprise, only a slight discomfort. If even he is fine with it, the prince must have been extremely convincing about the necessity of a temporary truce, or about some Machiavellian tactic she's got ready up her sleeve, who knows. Of course, we might have irreconcilable differences, but there are times when they have to be temporarily put aside, in order to quell unrest and open paths for constructive, meaningful change. If anyone would like to voice their concerns, the time is now. Torque, Arturo, and Panhard exchange glances. Normally I consider it an innocent gesture. Knowing what I know, I roll my eyes. A stick or a carrot? Torque, what made you break and sell your compatriots? How much do you really know? Not Kadir? Okay. Of course, Julius Lewinsky, whose ceaseless groundwork over the past few nights served as a foundation for the findings we're about to be revealed. Thank you, Julia. As a sheriff, my role here is mostly representative. I spent the last few nights overseeing the celebrations in Elysium. Okay, sure. I managed to convince my key allies that diplomatic action is the only way forward in this case. No matter how wrong-headed the enemy can be, we still need avenues to negotiate and communicate. I'm curious how Tamiko will react to him looking like a corporate bastard designing the future order, dismissing potential for change that lies in unrest. No wonder she dumped him. Spare us the empty pleasantries and let Kadir move on. I don't have all night for this. Douglas Boss Callahan's remains were found in his office by one of his ghouls first thing in the morning. The first kindred to confirm it was another Anarch Baron, Torque, present here. A mystery book author referred to the circumstances of Callahan's mystery as a classic closed-room mystery. The metal door, locked from the inside, served as the sole way in. There was no murder weapon, no useful testimonies, and the evidence was, how do I put it, barely circumstantial at best. What was left for us was one hell of a puzzle. One where the answer couldn't even be approached using the tried and tested way voting. We were presented with poorly timed power upheaval, a tense situation where a long-planned celebration was in danger. Suddenly all of us was faced with an uncertain future. Everybody benefited, yet nobody did. No one was especially fond of Callahan, but it's not like anyone seemed particularly keen on removing him from the equation, especially at this time. For a moment, we were sure this was the beginning of an offensive on the part of Camarilla. We started wondering just how violent our retaliation would be. And as for us, we were momentarily convinced that the Anarchs were plotting to blame us for their own internal power struggles. A tense situation, resolved only thanks to skillful and swift diplomacy. Dare I say, yet another victory for our talented prince. But as exhaustive as it might have been, they only served to muddle the possibilities, not explain. Callahan had a lot of enemies, but they were the most infuriating kind of enemies one can have. Folks who barely ever thought of him anymore. In other words, no one really had a particular interest in getting rid of him, because they could always simply work their way around him. Just before last Christmas, he even witnessed the first ever successful First Light raid against his extremely profitable blood trade supply lines. The lone ace up his sleeve, a downright shady ability to perfectly maneuver around all SI activities gone. Callahan's decline was apparent to all, and a domino effect made his empire slowly crumble. Up until recently, he'd done an admirable job keeping up with the times and getting away with murder, but suddenly all the prison spotlights were on him. The recent stories we heard about him all depict a depressed, downright manic recluse, lashing out at everyone, struggling and utterly failing to fit into the new reality he found himself in. He's just pushing suicide. That's the angle they're pushing. There's no suicide note of any kind, of course, but the message our recently departed might not have been a verbal. The very peculiar thing was the position of the body. It was like an arrow, pointing us to notice something. It appears the last thing Callahan saw in his own life was a portrait of one Lord Castlereagh, second Marquess of Londonderry, which is, incidentally, where Callahan was born. To most, he was a reviled traitor, a heartless oppressor of all dissent, the main threat against each rebellion the Irish have gone through, successful in all ways but those that matter to his people. Some call him a tragic figure, holding together selfish allies against a common threat, always fighting for painful and unpopular compromises, ruined by overwork, sickness, and poor public speaking skills. Not hard to see why Douglas Callahan would empathize. Indeed, especially when you realize that the sickness in his blood, his failures, hatred from his own people, and a growing paranoia led him to commit a dramatic suicide within his own four walls. Okay. Okay, well, I mean, it's plausible enough. There are some irregularities in this handling of the crime scene, but the Anarch leader's findings suggest Callahan's resentful ghouls were to blame. No time wasted, huh? Congrats, everyone. Congrats us. We've achieved the perfect victory. No loose ends, no rocking the boat, no nothing. Makes you want to puke. How many of them contributed to this final report? How strongly does Kadir believe the shit running from his mouth? He's always been a Camarilla loyalist. A fanatic even, but... Maybe this is my time to head into the unknown. Kill my ego, at least temporarily. Well, just could have gone out, but he didn't. In the end, did Callahan think all the splendor of the golden arrow was worth his pathetic end? It's like there are two selves battling for dominance inside of me. One has to die. The other gets to live. Honestly, it's a flip of the coin. I reflect on all the kindred I've met, lessons I've learned, choices I've made over these past few nights to make this. It's interesting if the game makes a decision for you and you don't get to just choose which ending you get. No. Oh, wait, okay, yeah. Based on your traits, I think the game picks the thing. A barely detectable tension in the air disappears. This is the first time they might have had to reckon with something I said. But luckily for them, turns out they won't. Looks like that's all, folks. You can see it in some of their faces. Everyone is happy. Spare me the condescension, Helene. someone else, and I apologize for that. Sometimes you just see something completely misinterpreted. We'll think about how to handle the future, particularly the Kaiser issue tomorrow, alright? If I'm even here tomorrow. Aren't they a happy bunch? All's well that ends well. People are getting nervous, like you really had some good cards to play. You're a poker player? Occasionally. It's a very socialite thing to do. Played with Jennifer Tilly once. Must be easy to keep a poker face with, you know. I know, it does help. And you do seem to know a lot about the cards other people are holding. Like all great games, poker does share some principles, lessons, and necessary skill sets with real life. I take out another smoke. This conversation is bringing the tension back, like two fencers carefully looking for a hole in each other's defenses. I found a file about you in Kaiser's car. Seems like he's worried about you. The only unpredictable variable in his equations. Ah, see, that's the one card I didn't predict you drawing. Speaking of not predicting something, when I was waking up tonight, I didn't expect a good friend would provoke me into coming here. Who might that have been? Not a lot of people in this room had an inclination to act friendly towards me in any way whatsoever. Sure looks like someone made a risky play. Even great players make dangerous plays sometimes. You know why? No idea. Boredom. It's boredom that gets to you. Even when you love the game, there's always this fear that it might turn into a perfectly predictable series of optimal plays. Time to make a play that might not seem optimal at the moment then. A direct attack. You're not really Catherine Weiss, are you? I don't know who else I could be. Let me phrase it differently. You're not Ectorina the Wise, the agitator of Prague, a Bruja elder causing disturbances all over the world, are you? Clan Bruja. We haven't met anyone in this clan yet then. Clan Bruja is made of revolutionaries, the contrarians, the oppressed, and the dispossessed. They have always embraced from the ranks of those who have gone against the grain, ranging from punks to gang members to professional bomb throwers. Still, the clan adheres to no single ideology. Oh, they're anarchists. Like most organizations that prey upon the raw emotions of the young and disenfranchised. The clan's commitment to the ideals of those they embrace is usually only skin deep. Fledglings embraced to fight and protest are commonly referred to as rebels, punks, or rebel. She laughs. That file must have been pretty thorough. Kaiser knows what he's doing. That's why I'm afraid of what he might do to me to get revenge. Rightfully so. Maybe I'll help him out in exchange for a favor. Snuff out a La Sombra meddler. Strike a partnership. Promise to keep it in check. That was a joke. It wasn't very funny. And just so you know, I made precautions. It was a bluff. Honestly, I expected more reaction. Kaiser's documents. Did they mention anything about Ostrava? They say that's where you were born, as Hannah Urbanova was unlucky enough to immigrate to New York City at the perfect age, and with a pretty accent, approximating that of Ectorina. Honestly, explains a lot. Kadir told me that Isling once organized a blood hunt after Catherine, Ectorina, that she was both a liability and too intertwined with the city's history to give up on her. This solution, you, were deemed the best possible compromise by all parties involved. The particulars aren't really described. It was theorized that blood magic was used, maybe flesh crafting. I do remember a few images. Her accomplices embrace Christoph, the man who caught me, apologizing. The others broke my jaw, as if he wasn't to blame. Violent brainwashing. But what's done is done. I might not be Ectorina the Wise, but I'm definitely Catherine Weiss now. I feel as good about the situation as I probably can. She's the brooding Batman, and you're the fun-loving Bruce Wayne. Zorro and Diego de la Vega? Something like that. A debutante who sleeps a lot and parties a lot. Only has to do something unpleasant from time to time. Do you hate her? Oh, she got freaking Metal Gear Solid 5. Venom sneaked. Do you hate her? Sometimes. But I mostly pity her. I've come to accept my fate. And I don't feel much trauma when I see my jaw in the mirror, the way she does. Some pig broke hers centuries ago. She still relives the assault every time she catches a glimpse of her own face. All that power, all that reach, all the appearances, still not enough. Don't get me wrong, but is there a point to all these questions? Oh, there definitely is. I think it was reading her file that made me ultimately decide against turning this investigation upside down. Was it now? An immigrant from Eastern Europe comes to New York City, takes the position she always expected to find herself in, is molded into someone who is no longer herself. The story struck a chord. I felt like you were maybe ever so slightly pushing me to follow your way, to lose myself in a position of considerable power. I could see Julius Owinski sharing Hannah Urbanova's fate, and to be honest, it scared the shit out of me. Catherine shakes her head. Funny, Ostrava is just 15 kilometers away from Poland's borders. I know. I think I've been there once, when I was a kid. Parents love to travel. Who doesn't? All these long-established organizations, with time, their practices always degenerate. Start draining everything out of the participants, turning into a cycle of abuse aimed at no one in particular. Is that a critique of our current society? But the funny thing is, if the victims aren't allowed into positions where they can perpetuate the abuse, they feel the abuse is aimed specifically at them. There's no winning move here. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I think you're making excuses for yourself. She desperately tries to stop it, but she laughs. Sounds a bit like a harpy screaming, but it's strangely endearing. Let's walk outside. I need to close up shop. Dawn is almost here, and we still need to talk about how to get you out of Kaiser's grasp. So I hear you've been living with a human. Yeah, it didn't work out. I don't know how this, do I dare to call it, sisterly bond came to happen, but I know it can't last beyond tonight. But I'm savoring every second. Turns out she's been single white femaling me. I don't follow. I come home, find her wearing my clothes, smoking my cigarettes, pretending to be me. The creepiest thing in the world. So you find that pretending to be someone else is the creepiest thing in the world. I see how it is. Oh, piss off. That's a low blow. Why would she do that? No idea. I yelled at her, I saw her running out. She's probably home now, I hope. No, I don't know. I know it looks bad, but maybe you should just, ask her why she did it, and then make an informed decision. What are you talking about? That'd be reasonable. I don't do that. This might just be Ekaterina speaking, but I was thinking about you two in Carthage. Everyone's arguing about her, with her about that name. Some people claim it has too much historical baggage. It's a myth, it didn't work, and it was still vampires taking advantage of humans. But it's still a beautiful dream, and you two are like the embodiment of it. You mean that a cryptical story where Carthage was destroyed not because Romans were greedy for land, but because kindred and kind coexisted there in harmony? That's a pretty deep cut, How long ago were you embraced again? I've been reading a lot to catch up. The inner journalist / former copywriter in me still refuses to die. Huh. Again, it might as well be Ekaterina speaking, sending you to die for her pipe dream. But that's the best option I can think of to get away from here with a goal in mind. I'm listening. Head for the anarch-free state of California. Look for a man named Giles. If you're alone, you might have to do a lot to prove yourself. If you're with your friend, you might have to do a little less. If you succeed, you'll be able to fight for the noble cause of establishing New Carthage. It's hopeless, but no matter what tough act Kadir's putting on, still better than waiting for Kaiser to act. Might as well give it a shot then. See what's next. Thank you. Don't think me, you idiot. I'm sending you to the West Coast to die, just so you're not here to blabber about me to Kaiser, and so I can please my boss. Now scram. The sun is almost up. Sure. Thank you, nevertheless, even if it's just to piss you off some more. Anything else I should know? I don't know exactly how practicing you are. Not even Father Leonard knows. But in an hour of peril, keep St. Jude, the patron saint of desperate cases, in mind. I'm not even religious. I mean, really. But in my darkest hour, someone told me to keep him in mind. And maybe I wouldn't be here if he didn't. Yeah, I know St. Jude. In happier times, Mom used to joke he was the patron saint of her sex life. I see. Fellow Catholic guilt survivor, huh? That's the classic Eastern European upbringing. Not admitting to anything. Probably not. I wave at her for the first and probably the last time and leave the Elysium behind. Didn't get to put up a fight. Don't tell me you expected anything different. I did, actually. Used to be a shining example of an investigative journalist. Oh, not happy with it. Being serious. extremely good-looking, kind, endlessly energetic. You got a steady job as an artist, and an even steadier influx of cash. Why would you want to be someone else? I mean, hey, even rich people are unhappy with their lives. Suicide is mostly an upper-class problem, actually. You're extremely good-looking, clever, talented as fuck, immortal and eternally young. But you still have that horribly deep well of self-loathing within you for some godforsaken reason. And it fucks me up as much as it does you. It was an impulse. It was the first time I did it, I swear. I didn't know what got into me. That timing was just... fuck. Maybe I just wanted to see if I can be a better you than you. I don't know. Maybe I need a therapist. But I'm tired of looking for the kind of therapy that feels like it works, and it's not just brainwashing me. I told you I fucked up the investigation, but not how badly. Well, looks like I'm no longer safe in NYC. I need to run first thing tomorrow morning, and the only way out I see is a bunch of loons living on the West Coast, who are trying to bring about a utopia where humans and vampires could coexist. It's probably even more dangerous than staying here, to be honest, not to mention how dangerous it could be for you. Haven't even figured out how we're gonna get there safely, but yeah. I'm beyond tired of sitting on my ass collaborating with monsters. This is the first page of the second chapter. Oh, she's in. Damn. Got a future. You got, well, okay, so if Julia goes missing, the first person they're gonna interrogate, probably violently, is Dakota. I don't actually think she has a choice here. Because you missed it. Having rich parents is like a goddamn, I don't know, original sin in my book. I don't want to coast on their money. I want to try to do something that fucking matters. Oh no, she just... Ooh, that last sentence was not great. Well, the day went by and I woke up just like any other night. That was the first surprise. Dakota following through with the plan was the second. We're leaving the city. I don't know about her, but I'm kind of hoping it'll burn the moment we leave. Fuck all these out-of-touch psychotic assholes who murdered Callahan and partied on his grave all week. Fuck the opportunists who couldn't even seize the moment and do what had to be done. Fuck this temple of Mammon where truth is impossible to find. Damn, man, you know, what did Queens ever do to you? Fuck Manhattan in particular, though. Probably gonna try to stop in motels, drink from truckers and hitchhikers and whatever. Remember Near Dark? That nomadic vampire movie? Of course I do. Is that what we're planning to do in the Midwest? Maybe, maybe not. We'll improvise. It just hit me. Won't all motels and such be closed because of the virus though? Shit, I don't know. Didn't think about that. Maybe I really should have robbed the bank. Just paid the circulatory system goons to smuggle us to the West Coast. Okay. Yeah, COVID's still a thing. I've seen enough shit talking online about this exodus of New Yorkers who are probably spreading that thing all around the country, right? No, they mostly went to the upstate and their country houses, I guess. Well, you should wash the car, I think, and you'll be disinfecting yourself before any time we touch. Does that help? It's transmitted. Well, I don't know when this game was made exactly, but I don't think it helps. It's just through air. Unless you're licking each other's, you should wear a mask. Nope, it's the land of the free and home of the brave, I guess. Well, her circulatory system not working, right? She doesn't breathe, so I think she's immune to COVID. I mean, well, we're trying to figure out. And of course I do. Wow, this is considered the bad ending. That's interesting. I mean, in my opinion, this I don't know what the other side would be though. Can we get a post credits cutscene? No. Huh. title screen is interesting, the way the two characters are posed, but Dakota's the one who's in the traditional vampire about to bite your neck pose. Huh. Interesting. Anyways, yeah, it's a cool game. I'm glad I went through it. I got it for free. Shit. Anyways, yeah, we'll call it here. Alright, guys.